Hello drummers and other creatures. In this video, it's a little bit procedural. I'm going to introduce you to the bog standard Bossa Nova pattern that all of us need to know at some point, because there's always the possibility of some cheesy gig where you're playing a little bit of swing, some brushy stuff, a ballad or two, and inevitably a bit of light, fluffy, Brazilian influenced jazz, shall we say. I'm making a couple of videos about the topic as well. Also, as it happens, I've started taking some lessons. I've had one lesson so far to try and build up my facility with Brazilian music. It's a topic that I've dipped in and out of through the years, and sometimes I practice for a bit. I find it a bit daunting, but anyway, that's a whole nother topic. So let's jump in and look at how to play the bog standard Bossa Nova pattern. You'll find this anywhere if you Google Bossa Nova drum groove or whatever. If you look for YouTube videos and so on, it's all the same. I'm just going to explain this, so I guess it has a presence on my channel, and I'm doing some other videos pertaining to this kind of stuff. So, you know, I'll be able to refer you to this as a sort of baseline, the cheesy bog standard Bossa Nova pattern. You know the sound of the thing, it's this. And so on. Does that actual pattern appear on any recordings? One or two that I can think of. I'm pretty sure it's in Girl from Ipanema, which might be where it's been derived, but there's a whole load of like the acrostic vocabulary that goes with that. Okay, now, is he rambling? Yes, he is. Let's get on with the pattern. It's quite straightforward. We're going to play some eighth notes on the hi-hat, and we're going to think of this as a 2-bar phrase. So we're going to play the hi-hat as softly and fluffily as we can. Now we're going to add, in this case, again, I would say bog standard samba pattern that everybody is familiar with, which means if we're counting 8s, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, we're going to be playing the bass drum on the 1, the and of 2, the 3 and the and of 4, like so. Now there's other bass drum patterns that you'll see, or no, you'll see and hear being played in Brazilian music. It's not the be all and end all, but again, for that bog standard bossa, that's the one we're going to use, and you can build and develop from there. Let's see what comes next. Obviously the acrostic pattern, the bog standard acrostic. Am I saying bog standard too much? We're going to say, let's count that one out. The acrostic pattern goes, what should I use here? I'll clap my hands so it doesn't overwhelm the mic. We're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so we've got the 1 and 2. It's funny, see, I know this. I describe it so many times. As soon as I've got the camera on, my brain goes and I'm in that automatic mode. 1 and 2 and. So we've got the 1, the and of 2, and then the 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, which is like the world's most common rhythmic phrase, I think. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and. So we've got the 2 and the 3 and. So we've got the 1, the and of 2, and the 4 in the first bar, and then we've got the 2 and the and of 3 in the second bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And that's the basis for understanding this groove, to the extent that if you did turn up at a gig, suddenly a Girl from Ipanema comes on, or, you know, Wave or something, you can just play that and you'll survive. Okay, so we're just going to play, again, a light and fluffy hi-hat. We're going to play the bass again, quite softly. Kick drum, not an appropriate term, is it really? Ooh, it sounds very aggressive. So playing the bass, make it soft and warm and fluffy, and then we're going to play the acrostic. None of this is particularly aggressive, but obviously the acrostic is going to be the sound that pops out more than anything else. let's give that a go. What we'll do is let's use the sort of incremental method. I've got a video on my channel where I describe there are these 4 main methods that help us to learn something. And we're going to use the incremental method, meaning we'll just start off with the first of the cross sticks, and then we're going to add each one in turn. So we're just going to play the 1 for a bit, play our 2 bars, let that go, make it feel nice and comfortable. We can focus a little bit on that softness of the hi-hat and a fluffiness of the bass drum. Once we've got that 1 happening, we're then going to add the cross stick on the end of 2. And again, sit and get used to that. Let that feel okay. Let it percolate into your bones. Then you can add the 4, then you can add the 2 and the end of 3, 1 at a time. So this is how we do it. And then he went and played the thing. No, this is not how we do it. This is how we do it. There we have it. I always get there in the end. It's a pretty good way to build something up like that. In most cases, you'll be able to get the right hand, right foot, the bass and the hi-hat going nicely, and then just adding those cross sticks 1 at a time can be a good way to do it. Now, sometimes people just look at the sheet. I'll provide written evidence of this in the description box below that you can download. But some students, they just look at that and they can play it straight away. Other times it takes a little while for the brain to get used to it, and so building the pattern up in that way is super useful. Once you can do that on the hi-hat, obviously they're doing the ride as well, and you can put the left foot on 2 and 4 to keep that exercised and go through the same process. Play the ride really as softly and fluffily. No, the bass drum is fluffy. Play the ride as sort of lightly as you can. Keep the bass the same. Get the hi-hat going. In addition to that, you may sometimes want to play on the snare very, very lightly when you're doing a ride thing. So you'd have something like this. And there you have it. Don't do that too much. The ride thing is a lot, really. And then when you get into playing full-on sort of samba stuff, then the ride maybe becomes a bit more prominent, but make sure you can do it that way. Now, from there, what you want to do is sort of extend the vocabulary with the cross-stick sounds. And there's various things that you can do. I'll suggest just a couple of patterns to be getting on with, but if you look up, well, first of all, you can find like blog posts of people who've kindly written up on this topic. One person that comes to mind is Todd Bishop from the Cruise Ship Drummer. He's got quite a lot of stuff about this, and he's even published a little book that gives you the lowdown on some this kind of vocabulary, so you get all these sort of comping patterns. There's other things as well. I'll put a link or two in the description as well. But yeah, you could look up, what am I thinking? Chuck Silverman's got a great book on Afro-Caribbean rhythms, which includes a good section on Bossa Nova, and again, has all this sort of left-hand comping stuff. So that's what comes to mind. You could also use, for example, the familiar pages from Syncopation and use that as your left-hand pattern. So if you just play through the main syncopation exercises that everybody uses for jazz comping, you could play those as cross-stick patterns as well. And it's a really good workout for developing some freedom to improvise on this. So you want to balance that obviously with a study of sort of typical Brazilian rhythms. Anyway, on with the show. The first pattern I'm going to show you is very simple. We're just going to play the downbeats on one bar and the upbeats on the second bar. So we're going to play numbers on the first bar and the ands on the second bar. And it seems like fairly typical to me of Brazilian patterns that there's that sort of upbeat, downbeat switch happening in various ways. So this is kind of a technical exercise that feels quite Brazilian. So we're going to go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then to develop that, you can come up with your own mixtures of upbeats and downbeats. So it's quite fun, you know, come up with a practice routine off the top of your head. But let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3, 4. Does that give me a thing? So we're going to go. Just make something up. If I go, I'll probably invent something that someone else invented already. But if I go, so on the 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Okay, let's go. See if I can remember that. No, try again. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and what should we do? Yeah, let's just right 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So we've got 3 ands and a 4, and then let's do 1, 2, 3, and then the 4 and, right? So that's a reasonable formula, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 and. Okay, I hope that made sense. Maybe I might write out a sheet of that, and again, it's just sort of exercise, but just basically come up with a 2-bar pattern where you play a bunch of ands and a bunch of numbers and turn that into a pattern. It sort of sounds Brazilian-y a lot of the time, so it's quite nice to just come up with your own little exercise routine. Finally, let's look at an actual Brazilian pattern called the Partido Alto. And bear in mind, all of these 2-bar patterns you can play first bar, second bar, or flip it around, play second bar, first bar. But the Partido Alto goes 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so we've got the 1, the 2, the and of 3, the and of 4, and then you've got the and of 1, and of 2, and then the 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4. And again, I'll put a downloadable PDF or something with this, just in case I've, committed an act of verbal erroneousness. Okay, so partido alto goes like this, in at least this particular direction. And that's that. A very hopefully brief, if not entirely succinct, introduction to the bog standard Bossa Nova thing. There's a lot more to it. As I said, I'm starting to learn more about Brazilian drumming at the moment, and there are all sorts of different ways we can express this. There's another video in the can, as it were, about the topic, and there might be a few more where I feel like sharing a little bit about my learning experience and not always doing this silly nonsense that we do on YouTube about, let me tell you the answer to this, because that's kind of boring. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting, entertaining, enlightening, whatever it might be. Of course, I'm supposed to advertise earlier on in the video, but here we are. If you're still watching this, please take note and leave me a comment in the comments section and let me know what you like, dislike, if you want to see me address any particular topics, and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, thank you so much for your timing and timing. Thank you so much for your time and your attention, I meant to say. Now you may go off and practice.